What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversation. I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. Also, I co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And as always, I'd like to tell you, through that collaboration with that team, in 2022 and 2021, reached out to over 100,000 fathers around the world. So as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And most of you know, who watch us on a regular basis, in that square beside me is usually Ryan Knight. So Ryan is not with us today. He is hosting his organization's symposium, Afro-Caribbean Business Network Symposium. So in about 13 minutes time, Dr. George Fraser is going to be laying down some heavy knowledge bombs. So I have to be here. Ryan's going to be out there. I will actually be at the event for a few hours tomorrow. But if you're in the GTA and you've got tickets, you are going to be part of something really special, especially if you can catch George Fraser. I think they're also doing a simulcast online too. So if you catch it, great. If not, great. No problem. No problem. Oh, let's get to what we're doing today. So it's the morning vibe. It's the 24th of February. And for those in the greater Toronto area, yeah, we got some snow over the last few days. I spent yesterday not a little bit of shoveling, mostly snow plowing. I said, no, man, I've been in the country too long. I don't want to be hoofing. So the snow plow, what a blessing. What a blessing. So I'm glad for those who are here live on the replay. It's appreciated, not taken for granted. Let's do some general housekeeping rules because we got something exciting to announce today. And we've got a person to start another part of the morning vibe journey. So as always, you'd like to say, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube. If you subscribe to it on YouTube, not only subscribe, but hit the notification button. Then you'll get notified for upcoming Epic Conversations. And we always have them coming. We got more coming. I'll give you a little hint of some stuff or a little drop of some stuff coming up over the next few days. Also, like us on Facebook. Bottom line, wherever you're watching this, subscribe. And we appreciate it and don't take it for granted. So these are one of the things, well, this is one of the things we're going to be talking about. On Monday, on the morning vibe, we have Ariel Kaya Bega. She is the chair of the Liberal Black Caucus, and she's going to be with us for the first part of the morning vibe. Been waiting a while to get her on the platform, so she's going to be on Monday. Then also next Friday, which will be the first Friday of March already, family, already. March is here. We have Wayne Harris doing his usual Financial First Fridays. So we have a big announcement today. We, in collaboration with BuyBlacks.com, and BuyBlacks.com is Black Canada's #1 online magazine, we're now starting a new series of conversations. So on the last Friday of every month, starting today, one or a few of the writers of their articles for that month, so we're still in February, so we have a writer of an article in February are going to be coming on the show, and they're going to give a little more depth about the article they've written on BuyBlacks.com. So this is something brand new we're starting. And again, BuyBlacks.com, please go there. Please check it out. BuyBlacks.com, there's a website, there's a Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. I need to put on their TikTok, so I'll get that on in just a few moments. But those are the things that they have going right now. So we are really happy to have that collaboration with BuyBlacks.com. We move better together, and I'm very blessed and highly favored to have the collaboration of BuyBlacks.com on the morning vibe. So that's one thing. So let's see some people who are on in the morning today. Let's see. Hey, Christopher Lawrence, good day, Dr. Vibe. And he says, Are you off the hook now? Yes. And I have a call to answer your question you had for me yesterday. So Christopher Lawrence, thank you so much for chiming in, and everyone else is chiming in as always. Please, please, please send your messages. We like that. So we're going to be starting something new today. So as I mentioned, there's a new collaboration between BuyBlacks.com and The Morning Vibe, and we are going to be featuring writers of articles on the last Friday of each month. So we have the first article we're going to be featuring that's coming up. We're going to put it up right now. Let's see if we behave. There we go. So I just got to give it full prominence. I don't want the writer to get mad at me. So today we're going to be talking about an article that appeared. It's actually right on the front page of BuyBlacks.com right now. I have a dream that Black entertainers will get the care they deserve. And I'm going to let Geneviève François talk about the article. We're going to bring her up in just a second. But this is a lot about, and I'm not even going to make an assumption. We're just going to bring her on. She's going to talk about it. So we are blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem to have Geneviève François with us today. So good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Outstanding. Thank you for taking time to be with us this morning.
I'm so happy to be here. So happy to be kickstarting this new thing you've got going on with Buy Blacks. So happy to be talking about this article.
Wonderful, wonderful. I like you how it's kickstarting. I like that. You're kickstarting something. That's all good. That's all good. So before we get deep dive into the article itself, can you share a little bit about yourself with the Buy Blacks and Buy Blacks and the Morning Vibe family?
So I'm a third generation Haitian Canadian, and I'm a writer. I studied Black Canadian studies and gender studies in school, and I did a lot of community work. I'm doing a lot of community work, always doing community work, working with nonprofits. And my passion really is care, especially for the Black community.
Okay. And where did the desire, the passion for care come from?
I think I've always wanted to make a change in the world. I remember being 14 and telling myself I want to be the next, Angela Davis.
Whoa, okay. You don't play.
Yep. And I started working on that through my university studies and working with not-for-profits, and I realized that a lot of people were doing all of this work but were really burnt out by being on the front lines, and that a lot of what was missing in doing the kind of work that makes a change is actually just the basic of caring for our people. It's something that kind of goes underrated, that we take for granted. And so I started thinking about, what would it look like if we put care as the first thing that we do to, deal with all of these injustices, all of these violences, because it's really necessary to be able to fight the fight, but also to be able to thrive and to, be able to live our lives in fulfilling ways.
Wonderful. How was your educational journey so far? How would you rate it?
It was a wild ride. I took a really long time finishing my undergrad, but I'm really, really happy about it because I spent that time really honing in what I wanted to do and figuring out, not speeding through it and not knowing where I was going. I really, really chose to do the things that mattered to me, and I was able to work with the community at the same time, which was super, super important to me. I always, every time I sat down in classes and heard about, all of these things that needed to be worked on, I had the itch to go and work on them. So to be able to do that at the same time was really incredible.
How did it feel to finally graduate?
Yeah, so I graduated and I finished my lab class in December. I'm technically I'm graduating in June, the big convocation ceremony, but it's it's incredible. It's really, really incredible to be done this part of my journey and to start this new one, and to have all of these opportunities now that I'm starting this new journey it's amazing.
Fantastic. How did the collaboration come with BuyBlacks.com?
So I reached out to Buy Blacks about an article that kind of touched on Twitch to start off, because Stephen Twitch Boss was a dancer who unfortunately took his own life at the end of last year, and he was a really, really influential figure in my life. I was a So You Think You Can Dance kid. So I used to watch that religiously, and Twitch's season was the first season that I watched, and he was the first dancer really that I absolutely loved and fell in love with. And I actually had the opportunity to meet him. It was an interesting opportunity, and I didn't get the chance to talk about it in the article, but it informs a lot of where the article comes from. So a few seasons after his season, there was a So You Think You Can Dance tour that I went to see at a stadium in Toronto. And right before the performance was about to happen, I was in the stadium halls, and Twitch was there, and he was having an interaction with a security guard that, as a Black person, I immediately recognized as the security guard wasn't letting him in because he was not giving credit where credit was due to a Black man. I think we've all had these kinds of experiences where we walk into a space and we're denied, the credit that we're due because there are assumptions placed on us because of the fact that and so it hit me, and I went up to him as a fan, but also as someone seeing this unfolding, and I was like, Twitch, oh my gosh, it's so great to meet you. And he immediately turned around to me, gave me a huge smile, and was so receptive to me. And obviously, as soon as I said his name, a bunch of other people started swarming around. He started, interacting with everyone. And the security guard finally got the hint that this was actually someone who was supposed to be there. It truly, truly a remarkable scene. But I think what hit me the most was that despite the fact that Twitch was dealing with this microaggression that we're all, used to, but that still affects us, he was so kind and so warm to me while he was dealing with this. And I think just in general, after that, and as I was dealing with my own mental health issues, dance has always been kind of my go-to, and Twitch was an inspiration for that. And so his passing really, really hit me very hard. And so that's kind of where I was like, I need to write an article about this, and I want to write it in a space that's for us, by us, and Buy Blacks was really that space.
Wow, thank you for that beautiful story. That is just amazing. Thank you. And that's one of the reasons why I have people on. We only see the end product, but I like to get what the steps were, what was the journey to get to that end product. So let's talk about the article. When did you decide to write it? What was the process in writing it, etc.?
Yeah, so I started writing it a little bit after Twitch's passing, and then I realized that this was a bigger conversation to be had, and so I started thinking about Black entertainers in general, and mental health and Black care being the thing that I really love talking about, and that's really important to me. And so I started writing about my take on Twitch, but also what was going on with Megan Thee Stallion. I thought it was really important to talk about Black women and the care that Black female entertainers deserve as well, because Black women deal with misogynoir, not just anti-Black racism. And when I talk about the story with Twitch and the security guard, I'm always reminded of the president of the Raptors, Masai Ujiri, and how he was denied entrance during the championship of the Raptors at that game. And yeah, I started, piecing all of these things together and kind of I wanted to bring in the conversation about care because we talk a lot about all of these things that are happening and how tough they are, but we don't talk about, what can we do on a very like personal level, on a day-to-day level to actually address these kinds of things.
Okay, fantastic. What I know obviously Twitch is probably one of the more prominent incidents recently, but what do you feel the life of black entertainer is like? Like, okay, what do you feel that what are the things, the pressures that we may not know that you feel that they go through?
Yeah, I mean, I think that all of these, Twitch's incident, the incident with Masai Ujiri, the incident with Megan Thee Stallion, we can tell that, despite the fact that they're famous, despite the fact that they're wealthy, despite the fact that, let's be real, Black popular culture is the backbone of popular culture, especially when it comes to music. Despite all of that, they're still dealing with anti-Black racism, and they're still feeling all of the things that we're feeling when we see the murders of Black men, Black women, Black people at the hands of police, for example. So I think that it's difficult because you have to kind of wrestle with being a celebrity, being someone who has to have a certain like face, a certain appearance, a certain way of behaving with the public, and also having to deal with your own, experience with your mental health, with all of this anti-Black racism that we're all feeling, no matter what. So yeah, I think it must be a really, really complex and complicated journey to kind of figure out, who you are to the public and then who you are to yourself and how you kind of deal with both of those.
Good stuff. It's interesting when you talk about Twitch. I believe that someone had told me there was a story a little while back where he had done a post about, he was really hurt about Black men that were being killed by the police. And it seemed that a lot of people who responded to that post said, you know what? Don't talk about that. Basically, they just wanted to see Twitch for the smile and the dance.
Absolutely.
Do you
Yeah.
want to go a little deeper in that?
I mean, it's so interesting because I actually I started talking about this on some social media when it happened, and I got the same kind of comments. I got people being like, "Why are you bringing race into this? What does race have to do with this?" And that's, there's a certain way that Black people are expected to present to audiences. And I think, again, because Black popular culture is the backbone of so much of our culture, people take for granted that they can just consume that kind of media and that they can consume the work, the art of these people without having to like think about what those people's lives are like and what they're struggling with, and the fact that as Black people, anti-Black racism is a part of their lives. So yeah, I think it's tough for a lot of entertainers to kind of figure out that balance between, you have to present in this way, thinking about Twitch as, this very muscular Black man. That stereotype usually comes with certain assumptions. And I think that he had to present as like very bubbly and very personable, to be able to continue to bring in the kinds of audiences that he brought in, and switching the conversation to something like police violence didn't work in people's imaginations of him being like the smiling and always happy dancing person,
Interesting. We're going to park on that just for a second because we got some comments from the family here. Althea says, great story. So she really appreciates your article. Another member of the family, Fitness IQ, says, good morning. Good morning. So good morning back. it's interesting. So you even face some pushback about talking about non-entertainment things.
A pushback about bringing race into talking about entertainment, which is so interesting to me because I I don't think there's much space for not like when you bring your race to the table, it's not bringing your race to the table, it's already there. It's already a part of your life. So the fact that certain people think that you can just kind of put it aside and like put it in your pocket and those experiences, it's very interesting to me.
You also cited in your article about Megan Thee Stallion. So
Yes.
can you share with our audience your thoughts about what she went through during some certain incidents? So please bring it to our attention.
Sure. So Megan Thee Stallion was shot in the foot by another rapper a few years ago now, I think. And when she started denouncing it, she got a lot of hate and a lot of backlash. And to the point where she started talking about how it was affecting her mental health, that people were sending her death threats because she was speaking out about the fact that she had gotten severely hurt, and it was really tough to see, honestly, to see how badly she was treated, and the fact that she dealt with what we call misogynoir, which is essentially the mix of sexism and anti-Black racism that Black women face, and that it was also coming from parts of our community as well, when we should have been uplifting this Black woman while she was going through this. And during the whole trial, during, the first accusations, and still to this day, despite the fact that the trial is over, she's still facing that backlash. And yeah, I think she deserved much better than what she received when she faced that.
Yeah, I want to delve into you. You brought up an interesting conversation piece. How does it make you feel when this backlash comes from melanated people?
It's complicated. It's difficult. It's a complicated conversation to have because you want to uplift your people and you want to make sure that you're never bringing them down, but when they're the ones who are bringing you down, you have to talk about it, and I think we have to have these honest conversations about the fact that we Black women deserve the care that they put into our communities, and that isn't always the case, and that sexism is a part of our communities as well, and that when sexism is fed into by our communities, it actually makes the anti-Blackness that Black women face even worse from other people as well, because when they see that we're being treated this way, they think that they can treat us this way too. So I think it's important to have these conversations about how our community is showing up for all of the different members of our community that are marginalized in different ways, whether it be LGBTQIA plus people, Black women, disabled people. It's important to remember that all of these things kind of are interconnected and that we need to show up in all of the ways for all of our people all of the time.
With your journey in the area of care of our people, do you feel we're ready to have those conversations?
For me, the question is not are we ready, but we need to. We have to. So yeah, the conversations need to be happening, and so they're going to happen, and I think these are conversations that need to be grounded in care, where we understand that we're all dealing with a common issue, which is anti-Black racism, and that affects us in so many different ways, and that we're all carrying the grief, the trauma of that violence, and meeting each other there and being able to say, listen, we are dealing with these things in common. Can you also see that I'm dealing with something else as well, and can you support me in that too, you know?
Okay. Have you, I know you mentioned in the article Twitch and Megan the Stallion. Have you seen other examples of Black entertainers that have not been treated fairly that you'd like to share with our audience?
I mean, I think there are so many examples. None of them are coming up in the top of my head right
Hmm.
now, but I'm sure you could talk about some examples as well. But I think just there are always examples of these kinds of things happening. Unfortunately, it's just Lizzo is one example as well, um, a great example.
And
Um,
bring to our audience where your thoughts are when it comes to Lizzo.
I think Lizzo is an interesting an interesting one as well because she deals with a lot of fat phobia as well. So that's also something that comes into the mix. And she has been dealing with a lot of misogynoir and a lot of, you know, dealing with the backlash of being unapologetically herself. And it's really it's disheartening to see that, but it's inspiring to see that she continues to take up the space that she deserves, despite that. Yeah.
Okay. So just to reset here, we're talking to Geneviève François about her opinion post on called "I Have a Dream That Black Entertainers Will Get the Care That They Deserve," and this is the first of a series of conversations we're having in collaboration with BuyBlacks.com, Black Canada's #1 online magazine. If you want to find out more about BuyBlacks.com, there's all the information there: website, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. So we are having a really good conversation here. If you have any comments, if you're watching live or on the replay, please put them in. Put them in. Genevieve would love to hear from you. I also want to talk about a great line you put in your article. And I'm just going to read it here, saying that regardless of how much or how little money you have as a Black person, the anti-Black racism that permeates this world weighs heavily on you.
Yep, absolutely.
You want to expand a little bit on that?
Sure, yeah. I think that, you know, we have a tendency to think that if we gain more wealth, we will be able to distance ourselves from the anti-Blackness that we deal with. And, you know, obviously we deal with a lot of poverty in Black communities. And so that is something that is really difficult. And being able to have that financial stability brings a lot of, you know, important improvement into the lives of Black peoples. But the fact of the matter is, no matter how wealthy you are, you can't run away from anti-Black racism. And all of these examples are really great examples of that. You know, at the end of the day, however wealthy you are, you will be seen by the color of your skin. You will be seen by the fact that you're Black. And so when we think about uplifting the community, even though we have to think about the financial aspect of it because we've been robbed of so much of that, Black communities around the world have been robbed of so much of that. We still have to take into consideration that that is not going to be the end all be all of our liberation. If we're all wealthy, we're not all going to be free. That's not how it's going to work. And if one person is wealthy, that doesn't mean they're necessarily free either. So just taking that into consideration, I think is really important.
Going to go deep into the article again because you wrote it. I'm going to cite another great passage during this article. So I'm just going to put up on the screen here. And I love this. And I want you to expand on this. You say, how many times have you felt the pressure of life and turned to entertainment to ease your stress or help cope with your stress? Entertainers play a large role in our day-to-day life. They help us deal with our own mental health, and their music brings us joy and lets us dance. They also help Black people see themselves past the anti-Blackness pervasive in society. If entertainment helps us cope with our mental health, why aren't we also paying attention and taking care of the well-being of our entertainers?
Mhm.
This is especially relevant for non-Black folks who consume the media, believing that Black Lives Matter necessities caring for the Black people that sustain us. Their work provides us the necessary components of care. They deserve care too. You're on fire there.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that we take for granted, especially in this day and age, the amount of media that we were able to consume, the fact that it's like at our fingertips, and how much of a role it plays in our well-being. You know, if you think about it, when you're not doing well, what do you turn to? Before the show, you were talking to me about Chopped. You love watching Chopped. We turn to our shows, we turn to our music, we turn to our devices, our content creators that we love, and we don't really pay attention to how much that factors into the mental well-being that we need, and the care that we give ourselves. And again, Black popular culture is such a huge part of popular culture today, and we don't really think about the other side of that. That if this is bringing us well-being, how are we repaying the artist for that? What they put out there is their art. It's a part of themselves. And as Black people, being able to see the Black content that is coming out, booming, Wakanda forever. The how much that touches us, how incredible it feels to see ourselves on the screen like that, and then pouring that care back into those creators, and thinking about, how are they dealing with the things that we're dealing with when we see these things, when they're, filming these things. And then on the other side, we know that Black popular culture is consumed by non-Black people in like huge quantities. And when people talk about, Black Lives Matter, do they think about the fact that every day they're listening to a song by a Black artist, and do they think about how they should be supporting those people as well? Yeah.
Okay. Want to go a little bit deeper into here. I think one of the challenges, from my lens, is that the people who control the message. And
Absolutely.
let's be 100 here. A lot of the people who control the message don't look like us.
Yep. And I think that also talks to the fact that no matter how wealthy you are, there's going to be people controlling the message of what you look like, what you have to present as. When we think about Twitch, he was part of the Ellen DeGeneres show for years. There was a very scripted way in which he could act in that show. I don't think that he would have been able to go up to that show and say, I am dealing with really tough mental health issues, and I am very sad about the fact that we're consistently grieving the losses of Black people at the hands of the police. I don't know if there would have been space for that kind of conversation on that kind of show. So there is a lot of mitigation between, the entertainment we consume and the Black entertainers themselves, and the people who control the message are often not our people. Yeah.
So, because that's where I think it always comes the big challenge, right? Because I'll just pull out different networks. BET is owned by Viacom, right? Viacom, none of the owners look like us. And we are making some headway, but at the end of the day, the final yay or nay in a lot of cases of how we're portrayed is not up to us.
Absolutely. And I think that that's where things like, we have the possibility to interact with our celebrities in a way that we never have before, with Twitter, with Instagram, with all of these social media. And that's where, to cut that middleman out and to say I actually care about my Black creators, you have to show up in those spaces and say I care about you, and I care about the work that you're doing. And I'm thinking back to Megan Thee Stallion again. So much of the vitriol that she faced came from social media, and we don't know how much of her reaction was mitigated by those middlemen. And so going into those spaces and actually supporting our people, I think, is super, super important.
So Geneviève, then let me ask you something. Well, many studies show that more than any other culture in North America, melanated culture is influenced by entertainers.
Mm-hmm.
Are we doing ourselves a disservice by paying too much attention to entertainers, because it can impact some of our well-being? Because a lot of research studies, I read one a little while back by AC Nielsen, one of the top research organizations in the United States, basically saying, hey, if you want to sell something to Black people, just get a Black influencer, they're in. So are we as a culture too much attached to our entertainers? Because I believe this is just me, entertainers are not leaders.
Yep. And I think that it's such a blurred line these days. And especially when it comes to social justice issues, we've seen this over and over again, where people turn to their entertainers as the voice for that. But entertainers are entertainers, and you can have many hats, but I think we have to be very weary of that and very careful. But it's also interesting because we could also say that a lot of the leaders of these kinds of movements have become entertainers in some ways too. So it's so interesting to me, because I think that entertainment in the way that we know it now is kind of informed by our cultural heritage and our cultural history. A lot of our cultures are cultures of like oral storytelling and of music, and so that's like a intrinsic part of our lives. And so it's so tough to not be so connected to that. But I think it's important to remember that entertainers aren't leaders, and that entertainers are human beings at the end of the day, with their faults, and they're deserving of care, but they're also deserving of being taken as they are. And I think that also having this conversation allows us to place them at the same place as us. They deal with the same things as we do, and they are as flawed as we are, and they are not the be all end all when it comes to spreading that message.
Yeah, I do a lot of helping of melanated Black men, and I always tell them that even strong people suffer.
Absolutely.
So it's really interesting when I have conversations about this topic, that what can we do? Because I don't expect people who are non-melanated to take care of us, because they got to take care of their own first. Rightly so. So I'm looking and saying, okay, what can we do as a people to help take care of each other? And as you said, the first thing is it seems that more and more of these conversations are happening now.
Yeah.
But you're talking about an entertainment level. So what would you like to see in regards to how the general populace treats Black or melanated entertainers?
I think it's just a question of ensuring that you see them at the same level as you see yourself, putting them at eye level and being able to say they deal with the same stuff as we do, and they are deserving of the support that I would give to the person beside me, but they're also deserving of the critique of that I would give to the person beside me if they said something completely out of pocket. So I think it's just recognizing that, and being able to also recognize again that these entertainers, the way that we see them is through the barrier of you know, the 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 lens that they have to present themselves as, and the middleman that you were talking about. And I think that, you know, thinking through what they deal with allows us also to reflect on what we deal with, and that we're all human, no matter which level you're looking at, no matter how famous you are, again, no matter how wealthy you are. And broadening that conversation of care as something that is interpersonal, but that also extends to the person you see on your TV, you know?
Do, this is a personal question, and I know because you were a fan of his, how did Twitch's suicide impact you personally?
Honestly, it wrecked me. It was shocking and devastating. It just, because of the fact that he was presenting as so bubbly and so happy, it completely like took me off left field. But it really it made me reflect on the fact that a lot of us do this, and a lot of us have to do this as Black people, put on this face, and sometimes we end up doing it to the point where we're not checking in with ourselves, and we're not giving ourselves the capacity to check in with other people and to say, hey, I'm not doing well right now. And so it was a moment of reflection for me in terms of my own mental health, and how I cope with it, and also the fact that I don't know what other people are dealing with, and that we really need to show up for our people and to ask them how they're doing, and to pay attention to that. And that, you know, all of the recent, I say recent, but it's consistently ongoing issues of police brutality, those things weigh really, really heavily on us. And we are, again, as you say, we have to care for our own people. We're the ones who are caring for ourselves and our communities. And we have to hold the space to actually, you know, be able to deal with that grief and that consistent violence that we're like, that's thrown at us all the time, you know, because it's really tough.
Yeah, there's a gentleman who's come back regularly on the platform, LaRon Barton. He's out of San Francisco, West
Mhm.
Coast, America area, and he refuses to watch any of these killings of Black men on TV because he calls them snuff films.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. It's a violence in and of itself to consistently show us our people's deaths, you know. And when I talk about Black care, that's one of the things that I'm like very invested in. It's not just, it can't just be a reaction to these things. It has to be something that's always there, so that it
Mm.
carries us through, you know, so that it's about the moments of joy as much as it's about the moments of grief. I think that's super, super important, because otherwise we only think about ourselves as a reaction to the violence. And we have to be able to think about ourselves as so much more than that, because we are so much more than that. And the world always thinks about us as a reaction of violence, you know.
Is it something as letting us define ourselves instead of others defining ourselves?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And letting us define ourselves not just through the lenses that we are defined as within these media that have that middleman that chooses to define us in certain ways, you know. um, it's Black History Month right now, and every Black History Month I reflect on the fact that we talk a lot about the struggles of Black people, but we don't spend a lot of time talking about, you know, what do we do, what are we doing, what are we doing, and not just what are we doing, like in a systemic way or in like an institutional way, but like, are you actually like asking a Black person how they're doing today? Are you actually holding the space to say, this Black person really needs a day off right now. What can I do to help them? It's so interesting to me that people are so quick to talk about these issues, but then they don't follow through with the kind of care that's needed for Black people to, be okay at the end of the day with the amount of anti-Black violence that we face.
Which is Black History 365, not just Black History February.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. I fully agree with that. But it always comes to mind during this time, because it's always like pointed out that it's Black History Month, and it's the time when we're going to talk about these things. And it's so interesting to me that we isolate it like that within February.
Well, Black history is in each one of our families.
Absolutely.
Right? If people don't need to watch a screen, they can just talk to relatives or talk to elders in their own environment, and just go there. So we have to look at what we have, what we don't have. And if we look at what we have and what we've been through, we should be happy. Yes, we got a long way to go, but we're a great people.
Absolutely. I fully agree.
It's really, really important. Let me ask then, what would you like, and I think you shared a bit already, but just to make sure, how would you like Black people to treat their I suppose, what would you like Black entertainers to be doing, or that they're not doing, when it comes to their Black people?
I think being more honest, but it's a difficult ask.
Yeah.
It's definitely a difficult ask, because Megan Thee Stallion was very honest, and we saw how that went for her. But I think, coming to terms with the fact that their wealth is not going to shelter them, and that, they're also being very honest about that, no matter how famous they are still facing all of these things. And centering Black communities, centering Black peoples within their work, is huge. Being able to see ourselves in the media that we consume it's huge. Yeah.
What would you like to see from non-melanated people when it comes to their treatment of Black entertainers?
I think taking into account that you can't put aside your race in a little, in a little box somewhere, that experiences of anti-Black racism are faced no matter what by these people, and that they are deserving of that kind of care and the humanity. Because I think a lot of the times we dehumanize Black entertainers because they're so far away from us that we just think they're some kind of like entity, some kind of like deity, and so actually taking into account that this is a human person that's dealing with anti-Black racism, and that they're deserving of more than just like you're listening to their music or you're dancing to their music, that if they're dealing with something and you think you're a fan of them, you should be supporting them in that as well.
And then finally, what would you like Black or melanated people to do in their treatment of their Black and melanated entertainers?
Just hold more space for care, show up for the people that deserve it, make sure you're not reproducing, misogynoir. That's important. And just, again, it's a question of seeing each other's humanity and seeing how we're all, related to each other, whether from far away or up close, and reflecting on yourself as well, and your relationship to that entertainment and your relationship to the care that you deserve and that you think other people deserve as well.
Okay. Well, what's next for you?
So I am currently writing a book on care.
Okay.
It's my subject, and so I'm hoping to get that out there sooner rather than later. And I am currently a freelancer, a freelance writer, a freelance researcher, always looking for opportunities to talk about these kinds of things. I think it's really, really important to have these conversations, and the time is always now. And yeah.
Well, good. Well, uh, I'm glad that we had this conversation. I'm glad you've got that collaboration with Roger and Camille at buyblacks.com. People, if you want to touch base with Geneviève, her Instagram handle is right there. Make sure you check it out. Also, we'll just put up the article one more time for people to take a look at. We've had a great conversation with her in regards to this article, and let me just put it up here. So let's scroll to the top, and the title of the article is I have a dream that Black entertainers will get the care they deserve. We've been talking to the lady who made this article happen. Her name is Geneviève François. There's the article. There's everything you got. Geneviève, I'd like to say thank you so much for taking the time
Thank
to hang
you.
out with us today. I hope you had a good time.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. We're looking for more stuff from you, whether it's through Buy Blacks or on your own. You always have a home here if you want to come back on and share with us, whether it's about a book or any of the subjects that you're passionate about, even if it's just about care. Maybe we need to have you back and talk about just care in the Black environment. That'd be very, very powerful.
I would love to. I would love to. Always love to have these conversations.
Excellent.
Really, really happy to be here.
Well, that's good. And I will say, as always, remember to give yourself grace and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. And we look forward to hearing some more from you very soon.
Great. Thank you so much.
Take care. All right. Geneviève rocked the house. You think? You think she rocked the house? Great first guest on this new collaboration between buyblacks.com and the Morning Vibe. And if you don't know what buyblacks.com looks like, I'm going to show you right now what's on their website right now, so you get a look at what's happening on buyblacks.com right now. The #1 online magazine for Black Canadians. That's what it's looking like right now. So there's the lead story. Why don't we give up? We pivot, a Black entrepreneur's journey from med school to e-commerce. So that is what is showing on their website right now. And if you want all their contact information, there it is. Website, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and then TikTok. So again, thanks to Roger and Camille to allowing this to happen. Wanted to happen for a long time. It's finally here and looking for more to come. We work better together than alone. So collaboration, people. We hear that word collaboration out there. Well, this is an example of it, and this is how it benefits everyone that's involved. Okay? So some things before we close up today. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube. If you especially do it on YouTube, you also subscribe and also hit the notification button that gets you notified when conversations are coming up. And a whole pile of them are coming up. But you can like on Facebook or wherever you're watching this, subscribe, like, etc., etc. Also, coming up this Monday on the Morning Vibe, Ariel Caballeba, chair of the Liberal Black Caucus in Ottawa, will be our guest. So that's another reason why you want to subscribe, so you get notified. I'm going to be posting the details of that conversation before the end of the day. A few things with me. If you want to catch me this weekend, I am going to be at the Afro-Caribbean Business Network event tomorrow between 11 and 1, part of a Black content creators speed mentoring session. So I'm going to be meeting for 15-20 minutes with other Black Canadian content creators, evaluating people's content and seeing how they can take it to the next level. So if you're out there at that event, please check it out. I'll probably be doing some quick Instagram lives from that event also. So follow me on Instagram. Friday night. Actually tomorrow too. Tomorrow afternoon, 3 p.m. I'm going to be sharing virtually for the Black Entrepreneurs Business Society. They're based in Vancouver. I'm going to be doing a presentation there from 3 to 4:45 about getting sponsorship. You may want to hear that if you're looking for some sponsorship. Then tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, State of Things with Aisha, Jill, and Lala, 3 ladies that lay it down when it comes to what's going on, mainly in America, from a political and social lens, from 3 wonderful Black women. And then Sunday afternoon at 5 p.m., Black Canada Talking Roundtable. We have at least one confirmed guest, Cesar Nadima Musa, giving his lens on things that are going on, not only in Canada, but around the world from a Black Canadian lens. And then Monday morning, we have Ariel at 9 a.m. And then next Friday, first Friday of a new month, Wayne Harris. There you go. So we have a full slate for the next few days. So just a few other things. Would you like to promote your business or your service on the Dr. Vibe Show? Please contact me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Also, here are all the different ways you can contact me. Website, email, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show, Twitter, at drvibeshow.com, and Instagram, The drvibeshow. And then finally, you can watch replays of the Morning Vibe Show at the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Afro-Caribbean Business Network on Facebook and YouTube, and Ryan Oneil Knight on YouTube. Wow. The week, well, my week isn't done. Yours may be, but my week is far from over. But I want to say thank you to everyone who watched the show live on the replay. It's appreciated, not taken for granted. And share it out. Share it out. So as we close out, we do this. Don't live. Oh, there we go. I almost forgot it for a moment. I've been saying it for so many years. I had to take a minute there. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace, and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. We hope you have a great weekend if you're watching this live on a Friday. I don't know when you're watching, but hope your day goes great. Hope you're doing all right? So God bless, peace, well, keep the faith, walk good, and we'll see you on Monday.